Bonjour from Lake Bluff. This splendid mansion, built in 1923, is a copy of a building at Versailles. It was designed for this spot by David Adler, who was a very prominent architect of country homes and estates in the Chicago area, as well as some homes in the city. So although it's a copy of a Versailles building, it also shows a signature of Adler, which is symmetry. If you look at the house outside, and when we go inside you'll see as well, there's a lot of matching side to side. Anything you see on this side is also on that side, except in one case. This columned room at this end of the house does not appear on that end of the house. It did originally, but at some point that room was rolled off down this grand lawn and became a separate house down there. So while there is an indoor space missing, let me show you what these sellers have done to fill the gap that was created. These are the O'Neills who've lived here for 15 years. We're sitting in a beautiful outdoor garden room. Would it be fair to say this is your favorite room in the house?
It is my favorite room in the house because she created it.
And how did you go about doing that?
Well, when we moved in, this was a very empty space. Although the reflecting pool was there, we found that we wanted to create the balance to the rest of the house. So we planted the European sycamores and we wanted it to be like a room in France.
Speaking of rooms in France, you have one indoors in the form of a living room, right? That came over, I think you said, almost as a piece?
We think virtually everything except the floor in there was brought over from France and recreated.
It looks fantastic now. Is that the condition it was in 15 years ago when you got here?
It needed work, and I don't know how many times we waxed those walls, but it was a lot.
We waxed them about 4 times, and we had to touch up a lot. We had to restore the Chinese export wallpaper, brushing away the color, the shellac. We found this incredible green and red and this wonderful story of a Chinese landscape.
Oh, that's wonderful. And speaking of finds, there's a find where in the dining room where you sort of gave an assist to David Adler, right? There are those beautiful sconces, but I learned only half of them. There are 8 in the room, but only 4 were there originally.
Right. We felt like we needed more light in the room, and so I found at a house sale 4 more that were of the same period, Louis XV.
One more find. That phenomenal mural painting in one of the 2 master baths. You said that when you got here, ugly white vinyl wallpaper on the walls, right? And what you found underneath was...
I found this incredibly beautiful hand-painted wall, which made sense to the way the bathroom was designed.
David Adler was known for his European shopping trips where he would bring back pieces to fill his houses. In this case, the story is that he took the client with him, and they brought back things like this wonderful French woodwork all around the living room and this Chinese wallpaper we've already heard the story of. Not mentioned yet are these great baccarat sconces that surround the room. These are the sorts of things that Adler and the client brought home and filled the house with. He also filled it with a lot of sunlight and views. The house is only 1 room wide. So even though you're in a place of considerable grandeur, it's a very slender space. All the rooms are lined up along that broad axis that you saw when you saw the front of the house. They start here with a great library behind me. It's in an authentic Adler shade of green. Then you have this living room we're in, a grand foyer that opens on both sides, one to the lawn and the other to the gravel auto court. Beyond that, the dining room. And those are the formal rooms all lined up in a row. That long line of rooms continues past the formal spaces into what were originally servant spaces. The O'Neills have made it more the informal zone of the first floor. They've taken the kitchen and pantry and turned it into more of a gathering area where you can sit while somebody is cooking and you can all be together. There's also a porch that was for servants. They opened up access to it, and so now what you have is this nice sitting area, this nice family room surrounded by the gardens. Here on the second floor, the master suite is an elegant period piece, very formal layout beginning with this sitting room, and you go from here into the boudoir. In the servants' wing, there's a total of 5 rooms. They're not all used as bedrooms now. One is a kitchen, one's a sitting room, but you could reorganize them according to your needs. Wherever you are, however you place those rooms and these, remember, the house is very slender, so in every room you're looking out onto the lawns, the big formal hedges, the manicured gardens, and statuary. There are statues all around that are original. While there are a lot of manicured gardens, this is a 6-acre property, and almost half of it is still woods, with a ravine running all the way around the edge and trails running through. It's a spectacular place.
It's my favorite place. I love the woods.